Fox 17. And now your host, Dr. James Haney.
Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the athletic program at Tennessee State University. And we're fortunate to have with us this morning two persons to talk about the athletic program at Tennessee State University. The athletic director, Mr. HGentry, Jr., and along with Mr. HGentry, Jr., the head football coach at Tennessee State University, Mr. Bill Davis. And gentlemen, let me welcome both of you to the show this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I know that both of you relish the opportunity to talk about Tennessee State University and the athletic program. And we do want you to give us some information relative to the program this morning. But Coach Gentry, before we get involved in Tennessee State University, let's talk about you and Coach Davis. Give us some background information about some of the things that were important in your careers before you became involved in what you're doing now.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I guess if I look at my career in athletics, I guess you can quote or list me as one of the new day athletic directors. And in saying that, I have a varied background. I have a background in business, banking, insurance, and a little law in there also. And I have an extensive fundraising background. And athletics has grown to the point now that it requires a business mind somewhere in the athletic department, and people are starting to look into the business community, and people that are not totally outside of athletics, but people that have an athletic background but have ventured into other areas to run athletic departments. And so I guess fortunately in my professional journey, it has come back to Tennessee State University as an athletics director, and it definitely helps. Athletics is a big business now. It's not a small business by any means. It's a multi-million-dollar operation, and it helps to have a business mind. Now, I won't say that only business people can run an athletic department, but it definitely helps. And so my career has taken me the full scope and brought me here, and I feel very comfortable.
Very good. Coach Davis, as the head football coach at Tennessee State University, let's talk about some of the things that you were involved in before you became the head football coach at Tennessee State University.
Well, I came to Tennessee State University from Savannah State College in Savannah, Georgia, a Division II football school, and we went to the playoffs in 1992, the Division II level. Prior to that, I was at South Carolina State for a number of years, where I got my first head coaching assignment. And I'm going now into my third season at TSU.
Very good. And of course, Coach Gentry, talking about the athletic program at Tennessee State University and talking about your background, you've been involved in that athletic program for a number of years. As a matter of fact, even before you were appointed as the athletic director, you were also involved in athletics, as you've indicated. Let's talk about the athletic program at Tennessee State University and what you, as the athletic director, hope to achieve in that program.
Well, the athletic program at Tennessee State University is a program that's rich in history. It is rich in current history. I mean, as current as this past basketball season. I mean, our program is still making history. As our Lady Tigers went to the NCAA tournament for the second time consecutively. We've, of course, if you go back and talk about your Wilma Rudolphs, your Ralph Bostons, Too Tall Jones, Eldridge Dickey, in other words, Skull Barnett, we have a very rich history in a lot of sports. It is my goal, and I'm going to give every piece of my energy into taking Tennessee State University to the next level. I really, truly believe that Tennessee State can compete on a national level for championships. We're just not a program sitting over there fielding 14 sports. I believe that we can compete at the top level, and my goal is to help see that we do.
Now, Coach, you said earlier that this is your third year here at Tennessee State University. Why don't you give us an assessment of some of the things that you found in terms of your responsibilities as the head football coach up to this point, going into this season?
Well, being a head football coach at a program like Tennessee State University, it's a very high-profile program. As Mr. Gentry said, it's rich in tradition, and what we're trying to do is to, I guess, pump some life back into that football tradition. Being a member of the OVC, Ohio Valley Conference, we probably operate out of one of the toughest Division I AA conferences there is in the United States. Plus, we play our 3 historically black schools, and I think that our program is on the upswing. Last year, we were 5 and 6. Possibly should have been better, but you know, give or take a few here or there. The ball had bounced our way, no telling. But I feel that we are coming into a season where we have our, gotten our athletes in. We've had an opportunity to have 2 classes, recruiting classes. So went through a good spring practice. Everything went well. So right now we're just waiting on August to roll around. We can kick off the 3rd campaign.
Now, you've already had your spring practice, have you not?
We've had spring practice early in, we finished early in April, started the last couple of weeks of March, and things went real well. We had some surprises and had some guys that we're not so surprised about, but we're pleased with it. We got a new offensive coordinator, Coach Darren Valentine. Coach Nick Calcutta came in this year as offensive line coach. He made it in time, to work with us a little during the spring, and so we've gotten our offense set and ready to go for the 95 campaign.
Now, Mr. Gentry, as the athletic director, you're faced with trying to juggle financing for all of these various programs. And I think one of the things that you've often emphasized is equity in your athletic program. And let's talk about that. Certainly we want to talk more about the football team and about the schedules and whatnot, but we want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to say something about the various sports that you are required to have and equity within that framework, and what impact does that have upon Tennessee State University?
Well, Tennessee State University has 14 sports, 7 men's sports, 7 women's sports, and when you talk about equity, I mean, the big word out in our phrase is gender equity, and I believe in it. I think it's very important. I think it's been a difficult task to try to balance gender equity with football being in the formula, because football is all-male sport. It has large numbers, large budgets, and it does create a problem in that formula. But I believe in gender equity. I believe that the female sports should have everything that they need. I believe that there should be parity there, and I believe it's important that we work very hard to make sure that the females in athletics have an equal opportunity. But what again makes it difficult is football being in that formula. I think we need to put our heads together and determine a way to not penalize a sport to create equity, and I think it can be done. I don't know sometimes if it's so much a question of gender equity or is it dollars. We're going to offer opportunities for women in sports. And we're not going to turn our backs on the female athlete, student athlete, and we're committed to that. But I guess if you look at the complicated part, is trying to figure out how do you call it equity if football gets so much. And we're going to have to continue to work on it from the NCAA level all the way down. But I think at Tennessee State University, you'll find that our females are pleased at our commitment to equity, and it's very important. And it's important to the strength of your overall program.
Coach, I think you mentioned earlier about the OVC, the Ohio Valley Conference, and you've been involved in the Ohio Valley Conference since you came to Tennessee State University. But what do you find in terms of playing in that conference compared to some of the other conferences that you've played in?
Well, there are 9 schools in the conference, and we played, well, it's 8 other teams in the conference, and I find that the competitive level is just about equal. There used to be some pushover, so-called, in the conference, but now when you look at it, the lower 4 teams have now almost come to the surface and equal the top 4 teams that we play. We find that we had 2 representatives in the NCAA last year from the Ohio Valley Conference. And anytime that you can have 2 members out of your conference representing the conference in playoffs, it just shows you the strength of that conference. Not only the conference is strong, but the 3 schools that we played, the historically black colleges, we played South Carolina State and Atlanta. They ended up winning the Heritage Bowl and also winning the conference championship in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Florida A&M is a Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference member. They finished real strong last year. Jackson State had what they call a so-so year, but they were on the winning side of the ledger. So I guess we play 11 games that are probably the toughest in Division I AA, and hoping that we can get up and have a representative year in terms of won losses and try and make the the playoffs or win the OVC Conference Championship.
You know, Coach Gentry, many people might not know, speaking of the Ohio Valley Conference, that your father, the late Howard Gentry Sr., played a significant role in terms of creating a situation so that Tennessee State University could become involved in the Ohio Valley Conference. Following him by a number of years, how do you see your relationship within that conference with the other schools, and what do you think that it brings to Tennessee State University as well as what Tennessee State University brings to the Ohio Valley Conference?
Well, and my role is to just continue the athletics program and tradition. As far as the Ohio Valley Conference, it goes back to the 60s. Dr. Davis had a desire to move into the Ohio Valley Conference way back. And of course, the conference did not accept us. Then in the 70s, TSU made another bid. And the reason that TSU made a bid into the conference, if you didn't know, TSU has always been independent. Dr. Davis wanted to see TSU compete at the highest level. He wanted to see All-Americans. We had a bunch of black All-Americans. He felt that TSU could create All-Americans, national All-Americans. He believed that TSU should be able to compete for national championships. And he felt that that conference was an avenue in which to do that. As far as us being in the conference right now, I think it's outstanding exposure. It's a lot of competition. As far as our sports other than football, it's the best place we could ever be. Right now, football is okay, but if I had my wish, I'd rather that the conference did not require as many conference football games as they do, because we need to play our historical rivals. We need to play them. We need to play it for revenue. We need to play it for the best interests of our fans. And it's just something we need to do. So we're working with the conference right now to see if we can cut back on the number of required games that we play in football and see if we can't work this thing out. I don't have a problem with the conference per se. I just know that what's best for TSU is for us to have an opportunity to play 1 or 2 more